This is VSiN PrimeTime. Live from the Circus Sportsbook in downtown Las Vegas on VSiN, the sports betting network.
Hour number 3 of VSiN PrimeTime. Oh, another foul was just called in Detroit. It feels like every second we look over at the corner monitor here in the studio, we've got a foul called. 70-67 right now, the score. We're not happy, Scott Seidenberg. We're not happy. The pre-flop under is toast, I would say, at this point. And second half under, not looking great. 70-67, Knicks with the lead. The Knicks are just out and running today. And more free throws coming for the Knicks here. 70-67. And your live total right now, as we are sweating this puppy out, sits at 228.5. My second half total is 225.5, so not ideal right now for me.
Yep, and I wish I had paid more attention to this prior to the game, as now I'm just looking on Twitter and I'm seeing all the information because I'm curious as to why we've seen so many foul calls. Well, Tony Brothers, the crew chief for this game, and where does he rank in the NBA this season? Foul calls, very high on the list, averaging 14.9. Personal fouls, very high. Shooting fouls, only high. Only high on the shooting fouls, though.
High.
Fouls called in the restricted area, very high. Offensive fouls, very high. Dribbling violations, average. Doesn't really call a lot of dribbling violations. But he is one of the top.
An illegal screen, I believe, was just called on the Pistons right now, too.
Lots of fouls called in this game, and it makes sense now that I'm seeing. Although the Knicks are 4-1 with Tony Brothers as the crew chief this season. Pistons are 0-2. But the fouls, this is unbelievable how many free throws we're seeing. And just fouls being called in general, which is going to lead to teams in the bonus later.
All right, let's get you updated on the 2 hockey games going on right now. 7:44 to go in the Twin Cities. Vegas and the Minnesota Wild tied at 1. And as soon as I try to give you an update on what's happening on the ice, I see Jalen Brunson putting up 3 fingers, and Jalen Brunson has just buried another 3. So big game Brunson coming up big time so far tonight. Taking a look at the box score, Jalen Brunson, that was his first bucket of the second half, but 20 first half points, Scott, 23 points for Jalen Brunson. Over-under for him pre-game was around 27.5, and Jalen Brunson have himself a day in Detroit. So a 74-67 lead right now for the Detroit Pistons. In-game total, 229.5, and the Knicks, a 5.5-point favorite in-game. Remember, they trailed 61-59 after the three-pointer at the buzzer from the Pistons. So the start of the second half here, as I do the quick math, what is that?
21.
21 points already, and it's all been all Knicks so far.
I have under 53.5 in the third quarter. So, can I get one of these quarters that winds up being like a 30-15 type quarter?
I'm trying to think, that would be, at this point, I don't have any sides in this one. So if whatever works out for us to get this thing to slow down and just bleed clock, I am in for.
I like the fact that the Pistons only have 6 points through the first 4 minutes of this quarter. That's fine. Let's project that out.
15-6 is what we've seen so far.
Yeah, that's great. If the Pistons are on pace, we're good with that. If the Pistons end up this quarter with only 18 points, I feel good. The Knicks have 15 already. 30-18 would be nice. 32-18, I'll take. That'll be 50. We got under 53.5. We are in sweat territory.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Everything from a total standpoint has been a sweat so far. 2-1 is the score in Ottawa. You've got, what's your pre-flop or your in-game position on the total? 4.5 over?
Yep. Over 4.5 right now, just 3, but we're okay because I do think that we're going to get at least one empty net goal. We could get more, but I'm actually banking on more because I did go in on the alternate puck line for the Toronto Maple Leafs at -2.5 at +290, which now you can get it even higher because we've already started this third period, and the puck line on -1.5 is at +114 right now up on DraftKings. If you wanted to do an alternate of -2.5, let's see, you can get, it's still at +290. So it's still exactly where it was to start the period. So don't feel like I lost any value there. But this is the situation that I'm looking for. I have a team that is leading versus a team that is facing elimination. And even if we see no goals scored, Tim, for the first 18 minutes of this period, we can get
Hold that goalie, baby.
We can get 2 to 3 goals in the final 2 minutes, which I'm okay with. So I think I gave you my projection of 5-2 finish.
Wrote it down on a piece of paper somewhere.
But I'd be very happy with 4-1.
I'm good with all of that. That's fine. I don't care. I want your over to hit. We've kind of spiderwebbed this bad boy. We're trying to make it work. By the way, your over is right now minus 280, 4.5. So good spot to be in from a CLV standpoint. So both you and I took some Maple Leafs before the game. I went back in on that puck line at plus 125 here in town, hoping that we do get that empty netter. By the way, speaking of late goals, we did see one. Unfortunately, if you took first period under in VGK, Minnesota, 4 seconds to go, and you saw a late goal there. And oddly enough, it's funny because you nailed it with first period under wasn't a bet for you, but you said, all right, let's go both teams to score in the second period. You nailed that one at plus 150. It looks like VGK in Minnesota, still time to go, 4:27 to go in the second period, but it looks like we're trending towards no goals in the second period, and that in-game total has now drifted down to 4.5, 1-1 to score. VGK still the favorite on the live line at minus $1.45.
If VGK takes a 2-1 lead, this would be the scenario that exactly what we're looking at here in Toronto, where a team that's in Minnesota facing elimination could be looking at more goals in the third period. This series has just been more tightly contested than I ever thought it was going to be. I mentioned it a little bit earlier. It's just with the additions to the Minnesota roster being healthy now. These are 2 of the top players in the world, in Joel Eriksson-Ek and Kirill Kaprizov. And many people that don't watch the NHL might think, well, what difference does 2 players make? It makes a lot of difference. You're talking about players that play on your special teams unit, on your power play, on your penalty kill, top goal scorers, your matchups against the opposing team's top lines. These are massive additions that they got back healthy at the end of the season, whereas a team like Dallas, and give them all the credit in the world for what they've been doing here in this series, they lose 2 of their top players going into the postseason. It's why so many people predicted that the Avalanche were going to win that series against Dallas.
Yeah, that was minus 110. That's what I was able to grab prior to the series, and now the Stars, obviously, after that Game 5 victory, looking at series prices right now. Let me ask you this, because you are confident that the Avs get this home tonight. Would you look at a series price on the Avs right now at DraftKings is plus 180? Would that be something? Where you are from a confidence level on this game heading in, where they're around a minus 190 favorite, we got the graphic for you. To win the next 2, they're at plus 180. Obviously, though, Game 7 would be back in Dallas for the Stars. Would you look at it in series play on the Avalanche?
Yes, because the maths.
Yeah.
It's one of my favorite sayings. Sometimes the math doesn't math. Sometimes the math does math. But the maths here. Because if you were to, no, we'd have to factor this. We'd have to do the rollover parlay. So let's go at minus 200 today, right? You place your $100 wager.
Yep.
You're going to come out with $50 profit. So now we take our 150, and let's say they are under a minus. I think they're going to be a minus 150 favorite, probably on the road in game number 7. Well, then you're looking at goal by Vegas.
Ooh, okay.
Bang. 2-1 nights.
So at this point,
Anyway, I'm trying to do the math here.
I know.
You're actually better off. The math actually maths this way. You're better off doing Avalanche money line tonight, and then taking your entire bet plus your winnings and doing Avalanche money line in Game 7. You're going to get more of a payout than plus 180. You're going to get around plus 200.
Okay. Yeah.
Or plus 195.
Yeah, always something to keep an eye on there from a rollover standpoint. So let's get you updated as you did a little ditty over there. I don't know what that was.
I'm singing the goal song in my head. I'm singing it.
2-1.
Yeah.
Folks at Stadium Swim are going nuts right now as Vegas has regained the lead. They lead 2-1, and now that puck line is minus 105. I would say this. Let's wait a little bit. You're going to get plus money here on the puck line. So do we wait to see how this period ends and ultimately look at a puck line opportunity here for VGK against Minnesota? Or has this series told us enough that Minnesota might come back and tie this thing up?
Yeah.
So I was more with you on Toronto. I think I've talked myself out of VGK on the puck line just because Minnesota does feel like the team that they don't go away, man. We've seen it enough here in this series.
Yeah, I'm not interested in it right now. This could be an overtime game, and also We saw it here at the end of this first period. We've seen it also earlier in this series. The Knights, one of their biggest issues has been allowing late goals. All right, they just happened here in the first period. There was a late goal scored at the end of the first period in game number 1. There was a late goal scored right at the end of the second period in game number 2. I think there was seconds left on the clock when that happened. I might be mixing up my games, but the Knights, it makes me a little bit nervous. Let's calm ourselves and get to the dressing room. It's called the dressing room in hockey, by the way. Clubhouse in baseball, dressing room in hockey. Locker room everywhere.
We keep it simple. Locker room and hoops. 2-1 the score right now. VGK Minnesota. Speaking of locker rooms, they came out of the locker room and the Knicks said, you know what, being down 2, forget this. Let's whoop some butt. They have outscored the Pistons 24-12 to start this third quarter. 5:09 to go in the third quarter, and I believe we're going to get a foul here. Shocker. So a media timeout on the floor. The sweat is on for both of us. It has not been, I feel like we've had some good reads tonight. This game has not been a great read so far for us. 83-73, 36 points. So right now, 5 minutes, you need, under 17 and a half.
Mm-hmm. Slow it down. Let's limit these possessions here.
All right, Ian Cameron going to help us break down the remaining games on the ice. He'll join us next. That's Scott Seidenberg. I'm Tim Murray. It is VSiN Primetime.
This is VSiN Primetime on VSiN, the sports betting network.
All right, got a little sweat going on. Shocker. It is VSiN Primetime. The Maple Leafs got to kill off a penalty here. 2-1 the score. Maple Leafs with that 1-goal advantage. Both Scott and I, from a pregame standpoint, took the Maple Leafs. Scott has took a little overaction, 4.5 from the in-game standpoint, and we both took a little puck line after the second period, hoping that the Maple Leafs were able to get an empty netter. Or, hey, man, if they want to get a shorthanded goal right now, too, I'm cool with that, too.
2 empty netters I need for my alt puck line.
Vegas Golden Knights took that 2-1 lead, and Jack Eichel having himself a day with multiple points in this one. 5 seconds to go, and for the Knights' sake, they're hoping that a first-period situation is not replicated here. So 2-1, VGK with the lead over Minnesota. 2-1, Maple Leafs with the lead over Ottawa. Quick update on the NBA before we get to our guest, Ian Cameron. 86-75, so we're at 41 points, Scott Seidenberg.
Yep.
And you need under 53.5 with 3:45 to go. So the perspiration coming out of the armpits right now. All right, let's head to our progressive guest line and welcome in our guest. You know him every Thursday. Ian Cameron at Bobano Bets is where you can find him on social media. Busy night on the ice. Another NBA game. Let's start, though, with the ice and a game that I want to go L.A. Edmonton because I know Scott wants to talk to you about Dallas and Colorado. What do we make of L.A. Edmonton, and what have you looked at here? Because I know goals have been flying in this series. By the way, Ottawa has tied it up at 2 with the power play goal.
Well, there's the over 4.5 guaranteed, but the alt puck line not going to come through.
All right, Ian, sorry for the rude introduction. Edmonton and L.A., what are we looking at here in your eyes?
Well, for L.A., it's obviously been a series where they look like the much better team in the first 2 games. Their offense was rolling. Edmonton defensively looked out of sorts. Their power play was just firing on all cylinders. And they looked like they carried that momentum into games 3 and 4 in Edmonton as the Kings led a good portion of both of those games, but they cannot close the game out, and they lose leads in both games, and they lose those 2 games in Edmonton. And I've been just all over the just ridiculous nonsense coaching of Jim Hiller in this series as far as just working his players into the ice from a ice time standpoint. How do you have one of your forwards playing 1 minute and 45 seconds in a game? Is totally absurd. Samuel Hellenius and his top guys are being run into the ice, and they're playing a ton of minutes, too many in my opinion. And you saw the reverberating effect in Game 5. They were stuck in mud. They looked like they had no energy, no gas in the tank, no legs, and Edmonton had their best game. They outshot the Kings 46-22, and they won that game not convincingly on the scoreboard, but definitely as far as carrying the play, it was all Edmonton. And Darcy Kemper's the only reason it was close. So I'm worried about the gas tank. I'm worried about the legs, and I'm worried about just these top players for LA playing too much. What I do expect from LA, though, is them not to go down quietly tonight. So I think you can make a case for, and I've got LA to score a goal in the first period. You have to lay some juice with that, but I did. It's been a great angle in these playoffs, betting the team that lost the previous game to score a goal in the first period. It's been cashing at a 22-10 clip. So I do like that. If it's too pricey for your liking, you could opt to go LA first period money line. I do think if they're going to win this game, they have to start with a strong 20 minutes, which is clear, first 20 minutes, which they did not have in Game 5. But I do worry as this game goes on, Edmonton gets stronger, and we have seen this kind of theme throughout the series where the Oilers get going after a slow start. That could be more of the same tonight.
You mentioned Jim Hiller. I honestly think he lost his bench a little bit in this series. I mean, the decision to challenge the goal earlier in this series after the league had already reviewed the goal and determined that Edmonton tied the game at 4-4 to then challenge the play, be unsuccessful, put your team on a penalty, and then 10 seconds into that power play, Edmonton scores and takes the lead. This series completely flipped on its head from that moment on, in my opinion, Ian. I can't bet against Edmonton tonight. I do like your angle in the first period, though, with LA, but just knowing the splits between home and on the road this year for not just LA entirety, but also Darcy Kemper, their goaltender, I don't mind doing an over 1.5 in the first period because I if you're asking me if Edmonton's going to get one in the first, I think absolutely.
It's definitely possible. The thing that I worry about is these first periods at times in this series have started a little slow, and the second period has been when there's been a ton of goals.
Yeah.
Every second period has had 2 goals in this series minimum, and 4 of the 5 have had 3 goals, in this series. So I actually bet a pregame second period over.
Oh, I love that
Just
angle.
thinking we might get a little bit of a slow start. I did grab a small over 6 for the game as well. I mean, it's been a high-scoring series. It's just I'm a little bit unsure of the first period and what we're going to get. So the totals for me are second period over pregame and a little bit on the over 6 for the full game here as well.
Love it.
Ian Cameron hanging with us, getting us ready for the 2 remaining hockey games as well as a game on in the NBA, which we'll get to here in just a matter of moments. But the other game tonight, Dallas and Colorado. Ian, as we look at it right now, looking at the DraftKings odds for this one, 6.5 is the total, juiced under, and the Avalanche a pretty significant favorite here at minus $1.98. How are you looking to attack Dallas in Colorado? Puck drop coming up in about 20 minutes.
Very similar to the last game. Colorado to get a goal in the first period. Very pricey. So you could either bet it pregame or you could wait in-game. I don't know if we're going to get Game 4 all over again because that game was Colorado dominance, and it could have been a lot worse than 4-0 if not for Jake Ottinger. Credit to the Stars. What a great bounce back. What a great response from them in Game 5. I thought they played one of their better games of the series. And there's a little thought if they figured out Mackenzie Blackwood a little bit. It's a guy that's come over from a bunch of losing teams, and there was questions about could he stay healthy, and if he could he play at a high level on a winning team? And he's had a really good series, but there was that cloak of invincibility that maybe the Stars removed from Mackenzie Blackwood in Game 5. That's going to be something to look for. The problem with backing Colorado, because ultimately I do think they win the game and they force Game 7, it's just very difficult for me against a quality team and goaltender like Ottinger and this Stars team to lay a price like that. My advice is if you like Colorado, take a first period puck line at -0.5 at a plus price. Maybe take Colorado team total over 3.5 full game. And a lot of times at home when they win, they score 4 goals. And just some better ways from a bankroll standpoint to bet Colorado rather than the money line. I'd look at first period puck line or team total if I like Colorado. But for me, just Colorado to score in the first period. That's all I'm on pregame.
I'm actually with you. I'm on Colorado first period on that -0.5
Toronto
goal.
Just scored, by the way. Yeah,
yes.
They got the lead back 3-2.
Good. Now let's get some empty netters here so we can have a chance at this alt puck line or Tim's regular puck line. Ian, let's transition and get into the NBA. The Clippers look to avoid elimination on their home floor tonight. I don't think anybody's going to deny that through the entirety of the series, the Clippers have looked like the better team. Great performance from Denver, specifically Jamal Murray, in Game game number 5. What's your take on this game, though, back in L.A., game 6 tonight?
So I bet Clippers double result. And this is a option that, I don't know how many. I think there's several books that will offer it. It's basically very similar. It's a bet that's very popular in soccer. Lead at halftime and win the game. That's what I took with the Clippers, because I'd rather do that than lay -6. I think -6 getting a little bit pricey when you got to deal with Nikola Jokic and Jamal Murray coming off the best game of his series, on the other side. I don't know if I want to lay that many points, but I don't see this ending tonight. I think the Clippers do have a better game. The Intuit Dome's been a good spot for them this year. And look, a lot of pressure is on James Harden and Kawhi Leonard to answer the bell, especially James Harden. Wouldn't talk to the media following, of course, the Game 4 loss. So there's, I think, an onus on him, maybe a sign that he's ready to step up in a game of this magnitude. Now, we haven't seen James Harden step up in games of this magnitude very often in the past. So that's always the troubling part about trusting him in this kind of game. But I think this Clippers team, they can play defense. Ty Lue's a solid coach. Norman Powell, don't forget, and Zubats, I think, could make an impact. I actually think Zubats over his point prop, 17.5, 18.5 is a good look. I could see him getting more involved offensively and maybe take advantage a little bit of the Nuggets front court. Maybe you look at an Aaron Gordon rebounds here in this game as well, as far as the Nuggets are concerned. Like I said, I like the Clippers in this spot. It's just a question of I'm not fully comfortable with the current number that you're seeing, -6. So being able to play at -125, Clippers halftime, Clippers win, lead at halftime and win the game at -125. I just like that rather than laying the 6.
He's Ian Cameron. Follow him on social media at Bobano Bets. Ian, I know you're busy this time of year, man. Enjoy the hockey games tonight and the remainder of the games going on right now.
You too, guys. Great time of year, and we'll talk again next week. Good luck.
There he is, Ian Cameron, giving us the latest. So let's get you updated. He mentioned it. Let's circle back to it. The Toronto Maple Leafs squandered the lead, but that was a good result for you because it got you your over guaranteed, and a better result for the both of us. The Maple Leafs scored. They now lead 3-2. Max Pacioretty, his first goal of the postseason, comes at 14:21 in the third period. They now lead 3-2. The Leafs do. And from an in-game standpoint, right now, puck line -110 for the Leafs.
Love it.
Hoping to get that empty netter. Knicks up 91-79. The sweat is on. Basically need them to get shut out here the rest of the third quarter. Hey, anything is possible. We're being positive here tonight. It is VSiN Primetime.
This is VSiN Primetime on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
We're on empty net watch in Ottawa. 3-2 right now. Maple Leafs with the lead. The Senators have pulled the goalie. 6-on-5 hockey right now. Give us that empty netter. Come on, baby. Get there. Oh, just missed, and we've got icing.
No.
Yeah, almost an opportunity there.
No, I'm saying no for a different reason.
Oh, no, what happened?
So we're at 52 points in the third quarter. I have under 53.5.
Yep.
There's literally a minute left in the third quarter, or a minute 20 left, and there was just a loose ball foul called after a missed basket. And so the free throws are going to get this now.
You're at 53
to
right now.
53 after he made the first one. If he makes the second one, it's a loss. There's a minute 40 left. They missed the shot. I got what I needed, and then the Knicks were just going to milk the clock. I had a chance. I mean, it was a big underdog. The free throw goes in, and it's a bust. We lose. But let's get 38 seconds left. Can we get at least one empty netter?
Come on. Give us something here, Toronto.
At least one? I'm not even going to be greedy and ask for the second one.
We just missed out on an empty netter.
Yep.
And now we're sweating this out. Come on, baby.
Problem is, once it gets down to this, they're going to try and skate away.
Oh,
they're going to give him the goal. Wait. One in anyway. Okay. Because now, folks, let me explain what just happened here. Yeah. There was a penalty called when the Toronto player is skating away. Now, this happened in the Vegas Golden Knights game that actually wound up being the most miraculous -1.5 hit of all time earlier in this series when they scored with 0.1 seconds left. But when the penalty is called and the player is tripped, depending on where they are on the ice, they could award an automatic goal with the empty netter. It's kind of like the clear path foul or whatever in the NBA. So that penalty occurred right before the blue line. The official, it's his judgment to determine whether or not he thinks it was going to be an easy tap into the empty net, and instead of calling a penalty, could have just granted Toronto the goal. They would have had to confer and decide that. Thankfully, we didn't have to sweat that out. They got the empty netter as it is. Now,
one more.
Let's
get greedy.
Very alive here.
Let's get greedy.
No, the goaltender's back in.
They put the goalie in.
Let's see. They'll go pull him now with 10 seconds. 9, 8, 7. Do you believe in miracles?
We got. No. Oh my gosh, the Senators are trying to. Senators.
And that's gonna do it.
All right,
Tim. Congratulations on your minus a goal and a half cash. I did not cash the alternate. I did predict a 5-2 final. It winds up being 4-2. It was worth the plus 290 stab though on the alternate there. But the puck line does come home. More importantly, the Leafs money line comes home, and our live total of over 4.5 cashes with a 4-2 finish. So all in all, profitable first game completion for us.
Yeah, it's good that that's profitable because the amount of money.
That's over. We lost that. Yeah, we're done.
The totals are so toast in Detroit. 233.5. Is there any chance we can get 214.5? We got good closing line value. That's all that matters, right? 94-85 right now. The score. Unfortunately, your third quarter under is toast, and my second half total is. Speaking of, you pulled the Al Michaels. Do you believe in miracles? That is. Toast as well, pretty much.
I mean, I'm a glutton for punishment, so I'm probably going to go fourth quarter under, to be honest with you. But let's hopefully no more points are scored at the end of this third. 94-85 is the score with 16 seconds left. So I might be going in under fourth quarter. See if we get a different number.
You are a glutton for punishment.
I am. I am.
You do not stop. So we do know now our second round matchups in the Eastern Conference, on the ice, that is, Washington and Carolina. Mm-hmm. And that will start in Washington, the nation's capital. And the Florida Panthers, your defending Stanley Cup champs, will now take on the Toronto Maple Leafs. So the Maple Leafs finish off the Ottawa Senators. Final score 4-2. A good in-game bet from a over standpoint by Mr. Seidenberg. We were able to cash the minus 1.5 puck line as well in-game at a little plus price. Got sweaty. Ottawa tied things up. My guy Nick Alberga's out there saying it's never easy, but rest easy, Golden Muzzy. You're home. 4-2 the final. Eastern Conference. Isn't it funny how this plays out? The Eastern Conference, Scott, we know both matchups. In the West, we know neither matchup.
Nope.
Still waiting for that. VGK up 3 games to 2, lead 2-1 going into the third period. Still to come tonight, Edmonton trying to finish off the Los Angeles Kings. And then we've got Winnipeg, St. Louis. Winnipeg takes the 3-2 series lead last night. And then tonight, big one for you, Colorado, down 3 games to 2 against the Dallas Stars. Yeah, that game should be getting underway momentarily. I am heavily invested in Colorado, heavily invested in the LA Clippers as well in basketball. That'll start about a half an hour from now. But looking ahead to this second round series, Toronto against Florida. Toronto's going to have the home ice advantage. Toronto went 1-3 against Florida during the regular season here, and the Panthers, we certainly know, have the playoff experience. They are the defending Stanley Cup champions, so you would never want to count them out. That being said, I've been on record multiple times saying if this isn't the year for Toronto, I don't know when it is. And what I mean by that is this is the best version of the Toronto Maple Leafs that we have seen in several seasons. They finally got the goaltending to go along with their, the rest of the skill position players that they have on the ice. I like Toronto to win that series. And I got to be honest, I haven't seen the line yet. I think they're going to be dogs in the series. Even though they have home ice advantage, I think they might be slight dogs just because of, the playoff experience for the Panthers and people buying into the Florida Panthers. I can see this. I can see us getting maybe a plus 115, plus 120 price on the Toronto Maple Leafs, and I like them in that series. We will get that series price, and we'll do a little guess the series price here coming up when that number pops You've got it up there, so turn it off.
Series price isn't up. Series price isn't up yet.
I know. I'm keeping an eye. I'm going to make you guess it. But the other Eastern Conference second-round matchup, Washington in Carolina, has seen early money come in on the Canes. The Canes now from a -150 favorite out to a $1.55 against the Washington Capitals. So Washington, despite having the best record in the Eastern Conference, a dog. Makes you think. Was texting with a buddy of mine whose opinion I certainly trust from a hockey standpoint. He said his raw number, he made it around -150. So didn't really see an edge necessarily, but he was not that far. I'll say this. He was on market. So when you look at 150 plus 130, you're like, whoa, that seems wrong. This particular bettor, not saying his word is gospel, but he made the number right around 150.
It makes sense. I don't like this Washington team in the playoffs.
A lot of people, I'm not pushing back. It just it feels like a lot of people don't. The betting market doesn't believe in this team from a future standpoint, and we'll see how it plays out. By the way, that's the first series win for the Caps since they won the Stanley Cup. 7 years they've gone without winning a playoff series prior to taking care of the Montreal Canadiens there in the first round.
So we do have a series price for the Toronto Maple Leafs.
Yeah.
I said I wanted the plus 115, plus 130. I mean, plus 115, plus 120. I get an even better price. Plus 135 on the Toronto Maple Leafs. I'm going to go ahead and make that a bet.
All right.
I like the Toronto Maple Leafs plus 135 to win the series against the Florida Panthers.
All right. Live line is out, and both home teams, both higher seeds, are underdogs in the Eastern Conference playoffs. Caps plus 135, identical number at DraftKings for the Maple Leafs plus 135 as well.
So when before the playoffs started, I went through my criteria on how to crown a Stanley Cup champion, and I utilized 6 different categories with the assistance of a little AI. Chatbot, whatnot. But I went through basically what I did was I looked at, or I had the AI look at every article that's been written over the past 20 years about common traits between Stanley Cup champions. And then I came up with my own criteria to add to it. And the categories were elite goaltending, combined special teams, what I did, power play and penalty kill, a top 10 goal scorer, high Corsi and Fenwick percentage, which defines your shot attempts and your possession 5v5, and your team weight. You have to have a heavy team built for physical play, plus Stanley Cup experience. Well, the Capitals actually scored the highest in my grades, but I downgraded them for the Logan Thompson injury. However, now that we've seen Thompson play and play well in the postseason, I have to actually elevate them to, once again, being number 1 in my list. The Winnipeg Jets were number 2. The Edmonton Oilers came in 3rd in my list. How about that? Panthers tied for 4th.
2-1 right now. Vegas with the lead over Minnesota, trying to advance on to the second round, become the first Western Conference team to move on. We've got the fourth quarter underway in Detroit. Josh Hart just picked up his 5th foul of the game, 96-85, the lead for the Knicks. Hey, folks, if you want to bet smarter and not louder, check out the Sharp Plays at sharpplays.com, where the real bettors go to get ahead. Since 2011, it's been locked in with what the real pros are betting. Elite group sharp money, the kind that actually moves the market. So when the sharp plays jump on a side, the line reacts every time. Visit sharpplays.com. Respected, watched, feared. Sharpplays.com. It's a final. The Maple Leafs get it done. 4-2, the final score. They move on to the second round, where they will face the defending Stanley Cup champion Florida Panthers, and they are an underdog in that series. Pistons down 9. We'll see if they're live in the fourth quarter. Come on back. It's VSiN Primetime.
This is VSiN Primetime on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
It is VSiN Primetime here on this busy Thursday night. Looking over our shoulders, solid crowd, but you're like, where's everybody? Well, they're all upstairs, man. They're all at Stadium Swim for the watch party, and they're holding on for dear life as the Vegas Golden Knights, I guess not dear life, they're up 3-2 in the series, I guess. Well, we'll relax a little bit there. JVT will be holding on for dear life, no doubt, later on this evening with the Clippers taking on the Denver Nuggets. Vegas up 3 games to 2, 2-1. In this game right now. Let's update you on the hoops. 101-92 is where we sit, and man, It's been a high-paced game, and we've tried to find ways to go against the grain, and the under just hasn't been coming home. Thankfully, we were able to get that puck line bet and the pre-flop bet on the Leafs because this situation in Detroit has not been profitable. So hockey good, basketball not so good.
Tim, 54 free throw attempts in this game. 54 free throw attempts.
Not great for the under better. Not great.
I mean, again, we don't. There's no claims of whatever, but I mean that's a lot of free throws to be shot in this game. I did not expect it to be called this way. Then again, sure. I mean, it's an elimination game for the Pistons. You would think maybe you let them play a little bit, but this has been tightly called. A lot of whistles, a lot of free throws. And we'll see how it plays out here in the final 7 minutes and change. Knicks leading 103-94. And if the Knicks do close this out, this then furthers that 75% trend that I told you about in this playoffs. The team that wins the first quarter goes on to win the game. And the Knicks certainly dominated that first quarter tonight. Yeah, and the Knicks would move on, and we will get a series price if this score holds. We will get a series price at some point here in the near future, sometime in the 7 o'clock hour on Knicks Celtics, and I'd be curious to see what that price will be, and we'll certainly look at some alternate ways to maybe attack it. But I'll give the Knicks credit, man. They've kind of changed things up tonight a little bit, but the Pistons not going away. Only down 7 right now, 103-96. Jalen Brunson over his point total tonight, 32 points. Solid from the starting lineup here tonight for the Knicks. Mikal Bridges, 23 points. He had a poster dunk just, I think, in the third quarter. OG Anunoby, 22 points. And Cat really the only one that hasn't been performing on the score sheet, but he still has 12 boards tonight. So Karl Anthony Towns inching closer to a double-double. So we've got a media timeout in Detroit right now. Live line -6.5, and that total still hanging out at 234.5. Remember, this thing saw late under money come in. Yep. You and I had 214.5, closed around 213, 213.5, and kiss that CLV goodbye because this has been pretty much an over game from the jump. If the Knicks win this game, and it's 103-96, 7:40 left. If they go on to win this game, I'm calling Celtics -400. I might be more aggressive. I might be more -450. Yeah, so if we look at what the Cavs and Pacers are, what's that? It's -$5 at DraftKings. I think it might be a little bit steeper at some other shops. So I did bet that series last night, and I laid $185. I actually thought it was interesting. I did some comparison shopping, and here in town at local shop stations, shouts to our guy Chuck Esposito, the double result, right? The win game one, win the series, yeah, -250 for the Cavs, and FanDuel was -225. Still available right now at DraftKings, -$1.85. So win game one, win the series. Yep. And that was my bet. So I'm in on the Cavaliers as they're a 9-point game one favorite. I really like them in the series. Down to 7.5 at DraftKings. All right, so you're seeing a little more. Look, maybe that's why. And look at this Pacers team, and we could talk more about this in the final hour because we got games to preview here and live games. I'll just give you a quick thought. Like, my initial inclination was like, maybe the Pacers are feisty, and I quickly kind of flipped on it. I think it was a bad matchup. I think this Bucks team, as we saw, they got nothing outside of Giannis. I mean, Gary Trent Jr. had a couple of really impressive performances until he, let a ball go through his legs in the game 5. I think the Cavs win it. I didn't know how to attack it, Scott. So game 1 at home, Pacers emotional high. Look, they'll be up for it. I'm not saying it's going to be a letdown spot, but I think Cavaliers take care of business in game 1, and then we just sit back and we hope so they take care of the series. So I did lay the price. $185 was my best bet on this series. The double result: Cavs win game 1 and win the series. Now, would you rather have that, or would you rather lay the series spread minus a game and a half? So what's that price? -160. Yeah. I think I would do either. I mean, you're giving yourself a little bit of leeway in case it does go
if they lose
7.
game 1.
Yeah.
I don't think this will go to 7. I thought about laying -2.5 plus money.
See, this is the thing. The reason why I bring up the series spread is because what's more likely to happen? Like, do the worst case scenario in your head. What's more likely to happen? This series goes to game 7 or the Pacers win game 1 on the road. And if you just look at the total games in the series market, right, or the exact games, I should say, in the series, for the series to go to 7, it's plus 255. The money line on the Pacers in game 1 is plus 245. So the market is telling us, at least at DraftKings, is that it's more likely that the Pacers pull an upset in game 1 than the series goes to game 7. I think I'd rather go Cavs minus a game and a half than Cavs game 1 and series win.
Yeah. Potato, right?
I think they're exactly the same bet.
And you're saving 25 cents, right?
But I think it's the exact same bet. It's not, because forget about the game 1 result, but they don't win in 6 unless they win game 1. I will say that.
I agree.
They're not going to lose game 1 and then all of a sudden win 2, 3, 4, lose game 5. And then, it's like, I think it starts with a game 1 win. And the Cavs, you can make the argument, well, their opponent sucked. So it is what it is. We don't need these, we do not need these playing games. But it's the Cavs in Oklahoma City have been the teams that look the most impressive this entire NBA playoffs. So, there's a lot of, I still would bet the Celtics to come out of the East, and they are the favorite to come out of the East, but you got to be impressed with the way the Cavs have handled themselves.
You could tweet us. I'm at @1Tim Murray. Scott's at Scott's on air. Jack on Twitter goes, I got smashed yesterday chasing the Rockets Warriors under. Listening to you guys brought back a bad memory. No way I was touching the Knicks under. Well done, Jack.
Kudos.
You learned your lesson, because I didn't learn my lesson. Thank God, as I responded to him. Thank God for the Leafs. Thank you. Maple Leafs for getting it home. We're underway in Denver, and a nice shot on goal already for the Colorado Avalanche. Man, I just feel like the way it's lined up, feels like the Nuggets and Avs play on the same night every night. You've got to multi-screen it up there in the Mile High City. They're not alternating it for you guys, making it easy.
Well, I mean, it would make sense because they share the arena, so one of them has to be on the road, one of them at home, and then you have them on the same night, so you can plan the arena accordingly.
So right now we are underway, and a spot for Mr. Seidenberg. He has continued to pepper a Colorado and Clippers moneyline parlay. Don't look now. The Pistons only down 5, ladies and gentlemen.
Wow.
103.98. They're not going away. And I'll just say this, spoiler alert, they're going to bid at 3 here in just a moment. So this puppy ain't over yet. As the Detroit Pistons, I'll tell you this, regardless of this outcome, and obviously I have no dog in the fight from a side standpoint. Somehow, if we just get to a screeching halt and we get this game under, doesn't seem likely. But what I will say, Scott, is, man, these Pistons, they don't die. They're like cockroaches, man. They do not die, and it is a 2-point game. And
I don't want to jump ahead of you, but the sports books are always ahead of the TVs. Tim? We are tied at 103 with 6 minutes left.
Man.
Now, I mentioned to you I am a glutton for punishment.
You going under again?
No.
Oh.
I want to live bet the Knicks.
Ooh, okay. 103, 6 minutes to go. I'll let Scott take the time to live bet this game where he can get the Knicks at minus 130, 18-7.
18-7, fourth quarter run it's been for the Pistons. This after the Knicks jumped out to their early start in the fourth quarter where they dominated the Pistons, but then the Pistons surged at the end of the third quarter. The NBA is a game of runs. One team goes on a run, the other team comes back and goes on their run. So I think we find value here in, we just saw the Pistons go on their run to tie this game. This game's certainly going to tighten up from here on out. Give me the clutch player of the year and Jalen Brunson to come through in the closing moments. I'm going to take a stab here on the Knicks.
Yeah, Derby Day is almost here. It's on Saturday. Why not make your first bet your best bet. With First Bet, you can wager on Churchill Downs, Belmont Park, and tracks all around the world, all from your phone. Go to firstbet.com. That's the number one, stbet.com, and enter promo code VSiN200 for a $200 sign-up bonus. Don't miss out. Bet smarter on the Derby with First Bet. Scott Seidenberg going in on Knicks, tied up at 103. Buckle up.